Hello students, I am Bhavani. Today's topic is planning of audit. First of all, the audit plan consists of a detailed plan of the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed by engagement team members in order to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. The audit plan also serves as a record of the proper planning and performance of the audit procedures that can be reviewed and approved prior to the performance of further audit procedures. The auditor should develop an audit plan for the audit in order to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. Audit planning is a vital area of the audit, primarily conducted at the beginning of audit process to ensure that appropriate attention is devoted to important areas. Potential problems are promptly identified, work is completed expeditiously, and work is properly coordinated. Audit planning means developing a general strategy and a detailed approach for the expected nature, timing and extent of the audit. The auditor plans to perform the audit in an efficient and timely manner. An audit plan is the specific guideline to be followed when conducting an audit. It helps the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence for the circumstances, helps to keep audit costs at a reasonable level, and helps to avoid misunderstandings with the client. The auditor should properly plan the audit. This standard describes the auditor's responsibilities for properly planning the audit. Planning the audit includes establishing the overall audit strategy for the engagement and developing an audit plan, which includes in particular planned risk assessment procedures and planned responses to the risks of a material misstatement. Planning is not a discrete phase of an audit, but rather a continual and iterative process that might begin shortly after or in connection with the completion of the previous audit and continues until the completion of the current audit. The auditor should evaluate whether the following matters are important to the company's financial statements and internal control over financial reporting, and if so, how they will affect the auditor's procedures. Knowledge of company's internal control over financial reporting obtained during other engagements performed by the auditor. Matters affecting the industry in which the company operates, such as financial reporting practices, economic conditions, laws and regulations, and technological changes. At the same time, matters relating to the company's business, including its organization, operating characteristics, and capital structure. The extent of recent changes, if any, in the company, its operations, or its internal control over financial reporting. Auditors primarily judgments about materiality, risk, and in integrated audits. Other factors relating to the determination of material weaknesses. Control deficiencies previously communicated to the audit committee or management. Legal or regulatory matters of which the company is aware, and the type of extent and available evidence related to the effectiveness of company's internal control over financial reporting. Primarily judgments about the effectiveness of internal control over financial reporting Next, the public information about the company relevant to the evaluation of the livelihood of material financial statements, misstatements, and the effectiveness of the company's internal control over financial reporting. Knowledge about risks relating to the company evaluated as part of the auditor's client acceptance and retention evaluation. The relative complexity of company's operations. Many smaller companies have less complex operations. Additionally, some larger complex companies may have less complex units or processes. Factors that might indicate less complex operations include fewer business lines, less complex business processes, and financial reporting systems, more centralized accounting functions, extensive involvement by the senior management in the day-to-day activities of the business, and fewer levels of management, each with a wide span of control. The auditor should develop and document an audit plan that includes a description of the planned nature, timing, and extent of the risk assessment procedures, the planned nature, timing, and extent of tests of controls and substantive procedures, other planned audit procedures required to be performed so that the engagement complies with the PCAOB standards. Planning an audit involves establishing the overall audit strategy for the engagement and developing an audit plan. Adequate planning benefits the audit of financial statements in several ways, including the helping the auditor identifying and devote appropriate attention to important areas of the audit. At the same time, helping the auditor identifying and resolve potential problems on a timely basis. Helping the auditor properly organize and manage the audit engagement so that it is performed in an effective and efficient manner. Assisting in the selection of engagement team members with appropriate levels of capabilities and competence to respond to anticipated risks and allocating team members responsibilities. Facilitating the direction and the supervision of engagement team members and the review of their work. Assisting with applicable in coordination of work done by the auditors of competence and specialists. Next, the audit plan includes details of the nature, timing, and extent of planned risk assessment procedures sufficient to assess the risk of material misstatement as determined under ISA 315. Understanding the entity and its environment and assessing the risks of material misstatement. A comprehensive description or program of planned nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures at the assertion level for each material class of transactions. Account balance and disclosures as determined under ISA 330. The auditor's procedures in response to assessed risks. The plan for further audit procedures includes whether the auditor intends or is required to test the operating effectiveness of controls and the nature, timing, and extent of planned substantive procedures. Next, steps to be taken at the commencement of a new audit. The nature and extent of planning activities that are necessary depend on the size and complexity of the company, the auditor's previous experience with the company, and changes in circumstances that occur during the audit. When developing the audit plan, the steps are involved. Step 1. Develop an independent expectations. Step 2. Define a significant difference. Step 3, compute difference. Step 4, investigate significant differences and draw conclusions. First one, develop an independent expectation. The development of an appropriately precise objective expectation is the most important step in effectively using substantive analytical procedures. An expectation is a prediction of a recorded amount or ratio. The prediction can be a specific number, a percentage, a direction, an approximation depending on the desired precision. The auditor should have an independent expectation whenever he uses substantive analytical procedures ISA 520. The auditor develops expectations by identifying relationships that are reasonably expected to exist based on his knowledge of the business, industry, trends, or other accounts. Step 2. Define a significant difference. While designing and performing substantive analytical procedures, the auditor should consider the amount of difference from the expectation that can be accepted without further investigation. ISA 520. The maximum acceptable difference is commonly called the threshold. Thresholds may be defined either as numerical values or a percentage of the items being tested. Establishing an appropriate threshold is particularly critical to the effective use of substantive analytical procedures. To prevent bias in judgment, the auditor should determine the threshold while planning the substantive analytical procedures. That is, before step 3, in which the difference between the expectations and the recorded amount are computed. The threshold is an acceptable amount of potential misstatement and therefore should not exceed planning materiality and must be sufficiently small to enable the auditor to identify misstatements that could be material either individually or when aggregated with misstatements in other disaggregated proportions of account balance or in other account balances. Next, step 3, compute difference. The third step of comparison of expected value with the recorded amounts and identification of significant differences, if any. This should be simply a mechanical calculation. It is important to note that computation of differences should be done after the consideration of an expectation and threshold. In applying substantive analytical procedures, it is not appropriate to first compute differences from prior period balances and then lets the results influence the expected difference and the acceptable threshold. Last one, step 4, investigate significant differences and draw conclusions. The fourth step in the investigation of significant differences and formation of conclusions, ISA 520, differences indicate an increased likelihood of misstatements. The greater the degree of precision, the greater the likelihood that the difference is a misstatement. Explanations should be sought for the full amount of the difference, not just the part that exceeds the threshold. There is a chance that the unexplained differences may indicate an increased risk of material misstatement. The auditor should consider whether the differences were caused by factors previously overlooked when developing the expectations in step 1, such as unexpected changes in the business or changes in accounting treatments. If the difference is caused by factors previously overlooked, it is important to verify the new data to show what impact this would have on the original expectations, as if this data had been considered in the first place, and to understand any accounting or auditing ramifications of the new data. Next topic, audit program. Audit program is an essential primarily to an efficient audit. Before commencing an audit work, an auditor generally plans his audit work carefully and prepares an audit program to carry out his audit work efficiently. Audit program is drawn up for every individual audit because in no two audits the work is identical in nature. Meaning of audit program. An audit program is the auditor's plan of action specifying the work to be done, the procedures to be followed for doing the work, the persons responsible for completion of the work, and the duration of the time within which the work has to be completed. Next, advantages of audit program. Audit work can be started immediately in a systematic manner once an audit program is made ready. It ensures that each part of audit work is completed and nothing is omitted. It provides guidelines to the audit staff for the performance of audit work allotted to them. Audit program facilitates proper distribution of works among the audit staff. At the same time, audit program facilitates the conduct of audit work by several audit assistants simultaneously. It fixes up responsibilities among the audit staff for any omission or commission. It helps the auditor to watch the process made by the audit staff in audit work. It helps the auditor to exercise effective control over his audit staff. It helps to complete the audit work within the scheduled time. At the same time, it helps the auditor in assessing the cost of audit. It helps to increase the efficiency of the audit staff. It serves as a guide for the audit in succeeding years. Next one, disadvantages of audit programs. So, it makes the work of the audit staff mechanical. So, it discourages the initiative and the interest of the efficient audit staff, as they have to simplify act according to the audit program and are not allowed to exercise their own judgment and discretion in the performance of the audit work. As it fixes a time limit for the completion of audit work, so the work may be hurried up by the audit staff. Consequently, the efficiency of audit staff may suffer. This is one of the disadvantages for that. And when there is an audit program, there is the danger that the audit program may be followed from the year to year without any alteration. This will reduce the effectiveness of the audit work. A rigid audit program is useless. So these are the disadvantages of audit program. Next one, what are the steps to be taken for overcoming the disadvantages of the audit program? First of all, the audit staff should be made to understand the audit program is only a guide, and they should use their initiative and intelligence in the course of their audit work. The audit staff should be encouraged to make suggestions for the preparation of the audit program, and their suggestions should be taken into consideration. While drafting the audit program, the great care must be taken to see that the audit program does not become mechanical. At the same time, it must be made flexible and not rigid. It should be reviewed periodically, and revision should be made in the audit program in the light of the experience gained in the course of the audit. Care should be taken to see that every audit program is an improvement over the previous year's audit program. An audit program to be serviceable must be elastic. Only then it can be enable the auditor to have proper control over the whole audit work and complete the audit work in the time. So these are the steps to be taken for overcoming the disadvantages of audit program. Thank you.